What is the most difficult lesson you've ever learned?
Probably to love myself. I'm getting there. I think now I just kind of realize the things I shouldn't let other people do to me and how they should treat me. Whereas before, I let people treat me like shit. Just the way they spoke to me and the things they did to me and just in general, treating me like I wasn't a person. Probably that just life really is not fair and that it's not gonna look out for anyone just because you have a specific religious belief or you feel entitled. Things will still come and just hit you out of nowhere. No one is immune basically to anything that the wrongs in life. So it's a big one. My mom was diagnosed with breast cancer and we were in the middle of moving around and just having to watch her go through chemo and all that kind of stuff while she was trying to deal with moving a family of 4 basically alone across the country. So it's pretty brutal and she's just the most amazing woman I've ever met. So just having to watch her go through that, I'm wow, no one's safe out here. It's just anyone can go down. But she put on a big front that she didn't want any of her kids to see her in pain or suffering, and so she really tried to hide it from us until you can't hide it anymore, and then you kind of realize how bad it is. It was a really big eye-opener for me.
The most difficult lesson I ever learned: I cannot, as it turned out, jump off of a porch safely. My brother convinced me to do it when I was 6 and I broke 2 bones.
Wow, that's a really tough one. The toughest lesson was being a single parent. Somehow I envisioned that there were going to be people lined up to babysit and offer to take care of my child because I did that for everybody else. And so I think when reality set in of having to hire a babysitter so I could go get a haircut, that was just life lessons that I never expected, and they were challenging. We successfully overcame them. So
live your life while you can, because you don't know when something may go wrong or something may slow you down and you won't be able to do what you want to do. So live it while you have the time or the money or the energy, and there's no day like today. I ended up having to have surgery that I didn't know I was going to have within 2 weeks of meeting with the doctor, and was out of commission, I would say, for 6 months, and it sucked. But then we live every day things could change in an instant, and life's never been better.
Probably being myself in a world nowadays, trying to figure out who you are as a person and not being everyone else, learning to be who you are around other people at the same time who are different.
Probably not caring what people think, transitioning from high school to college. I just saw that literally be you and don't care about what others think, because in high school that's a big issue.
The most difficult lesson I think I've had to learn, and this too has evolved within the past few years, is that my family does love me and does care about me, and that I have grown to trust my feelings. I've gotten closer to God, and I've learned to trust what He has in plan for me, and getting to know my family again. For a long time, my mom and I, we just didn't see eye to eye. We didn't, she never would come visit me. I got to visit her very few times, and now we're about every couple months. This is our first time, my first time being back here in a good while, but now she has been down to my new house already once, and then she's coming down in a couple weeks to spend some days with me. I'd have to say getting to know my family again.
Most difficult lesson I've ever learned. You can't always rely on people that you thought you could rely on, and as in it's more family stuff for me, and I won't go too much into detail, but yeah, I've had people in my family let me down, stuff like that, or have been horrible to other members of my family who I love. So yeah, it's kind of like that, yeah, to be honest. I don't want to go too much into it because I could be here all day. yeah, but you've just, I don't know, you've got to carry on and just get past it and move on with stuff, and some people you just kind of have to leave in the past, and it is what it is. So yeah,
I guess it's to believe in yourself, not follow other people's thoughts or philosophies.
Difficult lesson: you're not going to get everything you want. Straight, simple as that. You're not going to get everything you want. People are not going to treat you the way that you want to be treated. You're going to fail. You are going to fall. It's not what it's all cracked up to be. That's probably the biggest thing, is that you can't predict anything and you can't predict anyone, and you can try to control as much as you can around you, but in reality, you don't have much control over anything. Well, I'm a control freak, so that's like something I had to control the controllables. Is a big lesson. There's a lot of things you can't control, but you can control the things that you can control.
Trusting some people, I think, maybe. Like they wouldn't be there Tuesday to give your money back, and then the next Tuesday they don't come either, and then Tuesday after that they don't come. So pretty soon you forget about it. Just be real careful what I do with my money. If I give it to somebody to lend it to them, just figure it's a gift.
Shit, I don't know. Nothing lasts forever. You think it does, but it doesn't.
Yeah, money is actually important. Becoming independent in college and like just realizing everything needs money.
These coffee's like $3.
Yeah. I've had a very easy life, There's not one thing that stands out to me, if I'm being completely honest with you.
Most difficult lesson probably would be you can't please everybody in life. You just gotta like do you at some point, because you're not gonna be everybody's cup of tea. Yeah, I think that's like something that I learned that was really eye-opening in life, because you just gotta be yourself. You're not gonna be liked by everyone in life.
I want to say not everyone is genuine, so you just got to protect yourself, but also be genuine for other people so they can learn.
It's like having worked in the missile defense industry when I was 20 years old, writing maintenance procedures and having friends that were also in the protection of the country. Every mission is successful, even if the rocket coming out of the hole does a loop-de-loop and cuts its own trail. The report went to Congress as a successful mission. Why? Because with every mission or challenge, we learn something, and you never stop learning.
I think to utilize time correctly, nobody knows how much time they have on Earth, so it's important to take every moment and use it to the fullest. To be wise with it, but to use every moment you have.
I guess that you can't please everybody. There's always different expectations that you try to live up to.
I don't know. I think a lesson for me was that not everyone's gonna like me.
I'm still thinking. I don't know. I guess I'll just agree with the other two.
Not to be like nihilistic or anything, but just sort of how insignificant you are in the grand scheme of things. I guess that's more of like an ego thing, you're not the most important thing in the world. I think I struggle with the side effects of it, like feeling that more so on like the mental side of things, where I was like, you sort of feel sort of depressed and lonely, saying like within that same thought process, but at the same time it sort of gives you a freedom to think like, I'm myself and I have a certain effect on the world, but not everything's about me, and I shouldn't live my life as if everything's about me.
Everyone's different. I guess maybe through friends. Like, you can't get people to always think the same way as you, or feel the same things as you. I don't know, just different contexts.
It's a difficult lesson. That not everything is forever.
Difficult lesson. You got some good questions, man. Trust me. Difficult lesson. You've done something, but then something or you said something, and then you feel like, oh, I shouldn't have said that to someone, or shouldn't have, or just some little buying mistakes, for example. Just being younger, just bought me, that car that I never needed, something like that. And then you're like, hey, shouldn't have never got this. Should have just dropped an old car, or something like that. So, yeah, that's why I stay away. Trying to live as much as minimalist way. Don't be, greediness or stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, you can't really count on too many people. At the end of the day, it's you and yourself only. So if you put too much trust into other people, you really get let down. So you gotta learn that you're your own person. At the end of the day, you don't have to lean on anybody for anything. You know what I mean? Like, 'cause that's tough because when people don't live up to certain expectations, like it's like kind of a disappointment to you yourself and then to them. So it's like, listen, like I can handle anything on my own. So
You're pretty well spoken.
oh, I don't know.
The hardest lesson I ever had to learn, it was kind of like the same thing. Yeah, you kind of just have to do your own thing. Don't rely on anybody else, because if you rely on anybody else to do the stuff that you dream of, then it's never gonna get done, right?
Yeah.
So you really gotta focus down on your goals and your dreams. So yeah.
One that constantly rings my head. Yeah, can't speak. Life doesn't always go your way, especially now these days with COVID and all that sad nonsense. I think keep on going is the best thing about it, and what to do about it is just keep on going. Doesn't matter what you're going through. Just gotta keep going.
The most difficult lesson, I think, is that everybody goes through their own traumas. Once you get to a certain age, you kind of realize that you never know like what somebody has seen in life and the experiences they've gone through to get them to where they are. So I just try and go with grace every day, and even if people are, in a bad spot, having a bad moment, I try and think about how they've seen their own experiences and whatever they've lived through has brought them to where they are, and just even giving little bouts of kindness to somebody can really change their outlook.
This is like a couple lessons in one, but my sophomore year, it was the first time I ever got cut from a musical. I do theater, and that was really hard for me to learn because I could not understand why. And I found out from asking the director, he's like, are you gonna take a girl that you know that's really good, or are you gonna take someone you don't know that's really good? He didn't know me, didn't take me, went with the girl that he did know. So it's like connections are everything, kind of.
Maybe that, like, this was a really hard lesson for me to learn, that like not everything goes my way, because in the past I've always been so used to everything going my way, which kind of sounded like bad, but like it's true though, like, and like I've learned that I need to like work harder and like not feel like I'm entitled to things happening to me and stuff like that. Yeah.
Hard lesson I probably learned was like hard work pays off, because in high school I did not really try that hard, and some things reflected that, like whether I got like playing time or if I had good grades or like my SAT, because I did not study for that. So now I learned that I have to like put in the work to get good grades. Yeah.
Damn. I'm gonna let y'all go first.
I actually have an answer to this one. I'm still learning this lesson. I have a tendency to get overwhelmed by just different projects and tasks that I need to do. I just get overwhelmed with, if in order to achieve this, I have to do this, and this, and this. And it's just so insurmountable, and there's no way I can possibly do it. But my dad has always told me, ever since like elementary school, to be honest, he would always say when I would get overwhelmed with a project, he would say, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
Yeah.
And yeah, it took me a really long time to take that to heart, but now that's something that I tell myself whenever I start to feel overwhelmed, and that's what I tell other people now. And I even now say it back to my dad when he's overwhelmed about stuff at work. He'll be like, oh, this project is going so nuts at work, and I just don't know how we're gonna get it all done. And I'll be like, well, you eat an elephant one bite at a time. That's what you always said. So better put your money where your mouth is. So yeah, elephant eating. You can go.
Oh, okay. I think this is really interesting because I just had this conversation earlier today. Trying to learn that, like, nothing is worth more than your self-respect, and that you kind of have to, like, respect yourself first before you do anything else. It's really hard to do because I'm kind of okay with, like, being a joke as long as it, like, makes others happy. And it's taken me a really long time to, like, actually step forward to be like, hey, actually, on second thought, you can't say mean things to me because it's funny, and to, like, step up for myself. So yeah, like, even now, just trying to remind myself, like, there's nothing worth more than, like, the respect I have for myself and my own self-esteem, and that there's nothing I would, like, use my self-respect to pay for to get,
I would say, this ties into my, like, what makes a good life and what makes a bad life, but I would say, like, living for yourself, like, I have always like lived up to the expectations of others, and I'm like slowly starting to learn that that's not like a sustainable way to live and whatnot. So I guess that's like a hard lesson that I'm learning. And, you know, just making yourself happy is like the most important thing that you need to do first. Like putting yourself first, essentially.
I would also like to say, what I was trying to say earlier is nothing's worth the cost of your self-respect. That is how you would phrase that.
There you go. You got it.
It took me a minute.
It's a difficult lesson I've ever heard. Cherish the time that you have with your parents. You know, you don't have that opportunity to have that with them. My dad, unfortunately, was taken from me in 2015, so, you know, I do bite that, you know, that hard tongue on myself about how I didn't spend enough time with him and the things we've said to each other left unsaid. And so just definitely take care of, you know, the people you love and keep in contact and don't hold grudges and enjoy the moments that you have with the people you have around you, truly. I feel him every day. He's looking down on me, so it's great.
That's hard to say for me. And I think the military, being in the military and getting out, society's different. You can dictate in the military, but you can't dictate and tell people what you think outside the military. You've got human relations, you've got race relations, and all those things apply in civilian life. In the military, you were restricted, so you didn't talk about it. But on the outside, if you make that mistake, you can get in trouble.
Mine would be, I build a lot of Legos, and like sometimes you mess up, but like I learned that if you don't succeed, try again. And then eventually I built the whole entire Lego.
I think the most difficult thing I've had to learn is like to not take things really personally. Like some people might say certain things, other people's responses aren't going to be directed towards you. It's coming to them, like coming from themselves.
Not everybody's gonna like you. That's always a tough one because I have been such a people pleaser growing up. So sometimes when people just don't like you or just can't connect with you, it's tough. It's a hard pill to swallow. But yeah, just sometimes you're not going to be everyone's cup of tea.
Yeah, and with that, knowing how to say no, I think is one of the hardest lessons I've ever learned. Knowing your boundaries and knowing that it's okay to say no. You know, if people don't like you because of that, as long as you're taking care of yourself and doing the right thing, it shouldn't matter.
Oh, these are hard. Difficult lesson I've ever learned. Probably just to ask for help. I hate asking people for help, but I've learned through college and like studying. I was a STEM major and it requires you have to ask for help when you need it. You have to use other people's intelligence to help you with your own life. I guess I don't like admitting that I'm not capable of doing it myself. I like to be able to figure things out, so I don't love to ask for help and things, to figure things out.
The most difficult lesson I've ever learned. You know, don't procrastinate. Take advantage of take advantage of opportunities that you're given. Just even if you don't succeed, just try it. You know, just try it. Do it. If that don't succeed, just try something different. You know. I don't know if that answers your question or not, but
These are such hard questions.
Damn. Okay.
I mean, I don't know if it's the most difficult, but just like in the moment, probably just like go with your initial instinct. This is something that like my mom has been telling me my whole life, like go with your gut feeling. But I guess like this semester when choosing classes, like I was meant to take a specific class and I like knew that like I should take that class, but I was kind of avoiding it, so then I didn't take it and I ended up taking a different class, and like this class is like 100 times shittier, and it turns out the class I should have taken is like better in terms of like requirements and stuff. So like just go with your gut feeling, I guess. And now I'm stuck in this class like for the rest of the semester.
I really don't know what to answer to that. I have nothing on the moment.
Oh gosh. I think probably that there's like things in life that are like out of your control, and like how you handle them like says a lot about you as a person, and being able to deal with things that may be bad that are out of your control like determines like who you're going to be.
Forgiveness, yeah. Oh gosh, this is kind of going to get a little deep, but my father-in-law was murdered, and so the person that murdered him was caught, and just trying to release all of that anger and frustration, and it was all bent up. It was all pent up for so many years. And in a situation like ours, it went on for years because there were 3 trials. And so each time you think you're getting over it, it all comes back, and it all comes back, and it all comes back. For me personally, It just really came down to forgiveness and forgiving the person, not necessarily condoning what they did, but accepting it that this is what they chose to do. It has no reflection on whether or not I approve it, disapprove it, or forgive him. I need to forgive him for me so that I can move on, and because I'm a Christian and that's what Jesus Christ calls me to do, because I am forgiven, then I need to forgive others. And so that was a huge, huge lesson for me. That was a lot. I said it would get deep, yeah. I feel released. I feel released from it. I don't feel any animosity. It's sad, of course it's a sad situation, but I think I've also flipped a little bit because I also feel very sorry for the person who's in prison and he's having to live out his life in prison, and not that his punishment isn't just, but I really feel sorry for his family. And his family, I hope that they can forgive him so that they're not constantly burdened with the anger and the resentment that I carried for all those years.
The most difficult lesson I've ever learned is probably to not leave your food out when you have a dog. I have a question for you.
Okay.
Are you scared of your high school friends seeing this?
No, I would actually kind of like them to see it. I'm proud of what I do, and yeah. So.
I have one more quick question.
Yeah, sure.
When you wake up, do you choose your hair to be greasy as A, the bottom of a McDonald's bag, or B, the bottom of a KFC bag? Because your hair's pretty greasy.
What? I like my hair.
You do?
I do. I like my hair. He's roasting you. Oh. Anyway,